Thank you for the introduction, Mayankji. And I understand the faculties are over here. There are a number of people who have, coming from outside the campus. So it's such a pleasure and honor for me to be speaking to each one of you. We will go through the slides, and slides are more of in terms of our imagination. Sometimes it goes here and there when the speaker talks about which the mind says either is crap or whatever is the case. So just to have those thoughts organized, we have a few slides. As far as the modus operandi are concerned, while Venkateji said that I'll speak for about 45 minutes or an hour or so, and there will be Q&A. But in between, in case any questions comes to yourself, and you want to speak about it, by all means, feel free to, and we will have the interaction. The more the interaction, the merrier it is. That's how I feel. And similar applies for the online folks who have joined. And who is moderating if there is a question coming from online, Venkateji?
Online, I will.
You, okay, you are moderating, yeah? That's perfectly fine. In terms of my introduction, while I have been into industry, I happen to write 2 books. And that's something which not something which I was passionate about writing, or I was aspiring author, or was something dreaming about it. Some incidents happened in my career which pushed me to Nadir, to a zone where I did not find or was looking for the answers to my tender mind, which was having so much of emotional turmoil. And this was an incident which was about 20 years back or so. And when I did not find any answer in any of those so-called top-selling, best-selling management books in the modern world, I somewhere flipped towards our ancient wisdom. And after some degree of understanding, I realized that, hey, why the hell I was told that this is a retirement stuff to understand or read. And since then, 20 years since then, I have been every day going through. That has become part and parcel of my life. And perhaps the same page of that, Vedic literature I am reading for 100th time, and I find a new meaning into that. And that actually inspired me to put down that literature, because I was actually again compelled by many of my folks. Hey, the way you have brought the outlook in life, if you pen it down, that will be beneficial for others. Because it took good 8 years for me to understand, what is this? Because this was written at a point of time which post-industrial revolution mind cannot understand. Right? If you talk about to our great-grandfathers 200 years back or so, for all of them we appear like gods. The kind of power which we have in our handheld devices, right, was not even available in supercomputers 30 years back or so. So what to talk about 4,000 years back, the literature which was written at a point of time. So this is something which I wrote. My book got republished by another publisher, and who was very keen and was willing the moment they learned that I'm presenting or I'm here. So there are some books which I think, is there a retailer outside or somebody?
Yes.
Yeah. So in case you want me to sign a book for you, I would be very happy to do it. And for me, this is a literature which is neither a popular literature, neither a easy to read or understand. So you are the right people actually for picking up that, because it's a very highly intellectual. It brings about the physics, the consciousness, the quantum, and it's a combination of Einstein to quantum to Newton kind of physics into consciousness. Wonderful. So with that, let me pick up, and see that this works. Perfect, this works. So the flow, as far as today's session is concerned, we will certainly talk about digital economy, because that's the topic and how it's impacting the global industrial or global business growth. We will also talk about the its impact, and what are the critical success factors. And we will certainly talk about the value multiplier, which is clearly linking or clearly talking about the new ways of leadership or new ways of thinking which is coming, especially in this industry 4.0, which has gone into a zone. So which has gone into a zone without us realizing that we have entered into industry 4.0. So I have been introduced, so I skip about it. But year and a half back or 2 years back, when I got into this full time from my pillar to post role, I at that point of time very jittery about is it right thing I am doing. But believe me, after a few months of or few weeks of struggle, it was a very right decision. Which when I look back now, and from the recognitions and from the various platforms or the stages, and from the opportunity where I get a chance to interact with refined minds like this, or to visit in such a beautiful, lush green campus, is something which I would have never, been able to get. These are the two books. The second book, or the Consciouspreneur, has been released. The first one, the publisher has bought the rights. They have discontinued it for some time. They will re-releasing it in February with main title as the Consciouspreneur and a subtitle, because this word Consciouspreneur has been tagged with me by both government of UK and India as a trademark. So they want to actually work on that. So that I am following their guidance, whatever it is. So let's begin in terms of the subject. Yeah. So by 2030, which is down the corner, it is estimated that digital economy will contribute over 20 trillion. It's going to contribute over 20 trillion. And if you go back in times, 1965, when Moore's law came, right, the co-founder of Intel, when Gordon Moore came out with his thought process that every 2 years the processing power will get doubled. We are seeing in 60 years. Do we know what is the digital economy? What is the GDP when it comes to the tech industry at this point of time? Anyone? As of today, in last 60 years, from zero or whatever little number, today we are talking of tech industry in a range of about close to 9 trillion. To be precise, they say about 8.85 trillion. It took 60 years for it to reach to 8.85 trillion, and it will take barely 6 years from here to now, 2030 or so, for it to be doubled more than that. And if you also look at from the perspective of global GDP, of the world is about in range of over 113 to 115 trillion or so, and it's growing at a pace of about 3.5%. We all know, right? Now, 113 trillion growing at a pace of about 3.5%, which actually add in next 5 or 6 years, maybe 15 trillion or so, right? Most of it from 8.85 to 20 is actually coming from digital. So you can see the pace, you can see the scale where it is going. This is something which is a very different times you're talking about. And the question is, are we prepared to navigate the opportunities and challenges it brings? Both, not just challenges, but opportunities. That's the key question which we are discussing, or we have to actually reflect upon and ponder. Now, if you look at the digital world, the changing facets, many of you have seen how the digital landscape have evolved over a period of time. It has moved to a zone which is currently fail fast, learn faster. And earlier it used to be more of a sequential way of software development life cycle, right? So we have made a significant leap from where we used to be about 15 or 20 years back, right? Earlier it used to be the programmers, even till about few years back, who had a huge importance when it comes to the machine between the 2 ears. Slowly, we in tech industry started talking a language where we used to say, programmers will do the configuration and config guy will do the programming, i.e. applications guy will do the configuration management, because software as service was going far faster into industry. And software defined network, as you would have heard, in infrastructure domain was coming. So the guys who are actually the administrators will actually do the software defined programming. So things were changing. And when came the cloud era, the convergence happened across applications, infrastructure, and BPO, and the word digital got born, right? Okay. And this is just few years back. And that digital now appears to be legacy with this LLM and AI world, right? See the pace where we are moving, right? If we move forward, now let's look at the evolution of Industry 4.0. This is how the Industry 4.0 got evolved. 1990, we all know the birth of internet. Though Industry 4.0 for the first time was talked through in 2011 in Hanover and 2016 in World Economic Forum in Davos, but actually it started back in 1990. And 1995 was another time, perhaps, Amazon itself did not, or the founder of Amazon himself did not think of that he will become the biggest supply chain on the planet, because 1995 was the time when WTO signed that supply chain of global market opening, right? So you can see how it evolved, and 2008 global financial crisis was a turning point where all of a sudden a different leap was taken by those companies, which is, we call in tech terms, the FAGA companies, that is Facebook, Apple, Google, and Amazon. And then further catapult or leap happened post-COVID, right? Where industry didn't have choice, but they knew that if they are not in digital footprint, they will be struggling for survival, right? As simple as that. So, and then the way things are moving, what next? We do not know. It can happen as early as yesterday or tomorrow, right? So we saw how the DeepSeek all of a sudden created such a big turmoil in the market. Right? The changes. Last week, you would have possibly heard AI was termed as a bubble, and 1 trillion got lost from the stock market around the world. So the waves or the things are moving, or the hype, whatever you want to call it, is moving much faster than you and I could anticipate, can anticipate, right? Now, if I look at the different perspective, in the process of writing the books, I have become a storyteller. So I'll be going in a story format, right? So if you look at digital transformation, different perspectives came into place. Connected people at one point of time was digital transformation. Connected devices was also digital transformation, and connected systems. If you look at digital transformation, is actually the entire ecosystem. There had been a terminology which was mostly being confused by even the tech people as to what is the difference between digitized processes, digitalized processes, and digital transformation. And it's not that the folks who are confused were the very few and were the ones who may feel that, hey, am I not knowing? It used to be a norm across buyer side as well as provider side, because things were moving extremely fast. And personally, I witnessed this firsthand as to how it has moved, because I started my career. I was fortunate to start my career in 90s when actually internet was born, right? And where it has moved in terms of the global supply, seamless global supply chains today. Even we are talking of tariffs or whatever is the word we can talk about, but the things have become so seamless and so robust. Is it that easy for it to change? Now is a different world, which is the world of AI and LLM. And if you look at, now the language has changed. It's all about data, right? From the extraction layer to data, which is mapping layer in terms of vector mapping, and data with respect to the deployment, right? So it's all about data, and data. We will talk about the challenges and other parts of it, but now the world has completely changed to what it used to be just about 10 or 15 years back, when the cloud came, and we all of a sudden started looking at, would cloud be successful or would cloud not be successful? There were so many CIOs all around the world who were like, no, we should keep it a Bay Area, or we should keep it a Bay distance. We will still want to have our in-house data centers. But over a period of time, they realized that they are left behind, right? Now let's do a bit of double click onto this LLM and AI world and look at from the data or the number perspective. So global IT market size versus what is the AI market size as of today. So global IT market size I talked about is about 8.85 trillion, and it's growing at a CAGR of about 8% or so. Okay. But if you look at from the perspective of AI, it's a little baby at this point of time. The number which is little over 200 billion, but the CAGR is 5x of the overall IT market size. By the way, I've been gifted by Delhi pollution, so I have to take a bit of breather in between. So current AI market is just little over 2% as far as the global IT market is concerned, growing at a 5x. But if you look in next 5 years' time, how it changes. The global market size might exceed beyond 15 trillion or so, but this 200 billion baby actually would reach to 2 trillion. And while this number, the way it is, I feel perhaps it is conservative. The speed with which we are moving, this projection may need to be revised. That's how the situation is. And you can see the share from 2%, it's now going to good double digit, right? So it's a mammoth change which is going on at this point of time. And what are the key growth drivers? If we look at key growth drivers, AI as a service, right? We all have started using Geminis and chat GPTs or whatever perplexity or whatever you talk about it. And this has direct integration of AI into cloud. Data and compute, right? This has got an explosion, right? The compute has become so fast and it's growing with GPUs now, right? It is the speed is something which is making people to follow the pace is in a different zone. Democratization, right? It's all around ideation to coding to content everywhere, right? It's AI, right? The folks who are into content industry feels that their existence is at stake. The folks who are in the coding industry are reflecting upon themselves in terms of their careers, right? Even entire tech industry is relooking at, because the roles are going, while we all hear a lot of roles getting laid off, but more than that are still not invented. And the window is so small. We are talking of HITL a lot, human in the loop. Those roles will come up like anything. We are talking about ethics. Around ethics, there will be tons of roles will come into play. We are talking about problem solving or critical problem solving or critical thinking. These courses have not yet been started, teaching in the institutions. So a number of these things will come into play, and the youngsters over here actually should take a stock of situation and start looking at shifting the gears, because you have an early mover advantage at this point of time. And it's the adoption across all sectors, B2B, right from healthcare to manufacturing to retail. You talk about the BFS, every sector is picking it up. Yeah. Now, while I talk about the key growth drivers, there are certain challenges as well, right? Right. What are those challenges and constraints? Data privacy and governance. Right? Very, very big concern. Had some of these tools got invented on this part of the planet, possibly those could have been implemented by now, right? Possibly those could have been implemented by now, because nobody's data is personal. The moment you start, first of all, you only have an option on terms and conditions to say okay or yes, right? And if you do not, then you don't have a choice, kind of. You have an option of yes or yes, right? Cost of infrastructure, right? High GPUs, the compute cost is mammoth, and that's where we are seeing, what is that company? The GPU company. Why am I missing the name? NVIDIA. NVIDIA, yes, thank you. Right? Valuation has actually become the third largest economy of the world. One company's valuation is already crossed 5 trillion. Right? The third largest economy in the world, right? Because of their early mover advantage, and that's where I link that point, that you guys have early mover advantage on some of the areas which still have not come to mainstream. You would have been hearing the roles like data scientists, you would have been hearing the roles, the new role which has come into is ML ops engineers, right? Which is industry is still trying to figure out what exactly and how they will. Because earlier it used to be DevOps, right? You would have heard that, right? Now DevOps will very fast move into ML ops because you have to have those models and their linkage operating model seamlessly working. The entire focus at this point of time is in developing the models, right? In terms of deploying, operationalizing, and making course correction, it is still in work in progress. And around that, the thing with respect to cyber guardrails, no one is even thinking about it, right? What are you looking at? You're looking at giving the key of the bank lockers or the biggest financial institutions to an intern. That's what is the agentic AI going to come, right? Somebody broken into the guardrails of that agentic or that agent, you're screwed. You and I can deploy an agent, for example, tomorrow, saying that you will work, you will look at my calendar for everything, right? Someone breaks into that, and I'm just putting a scenario. And the moment it has broken into it, and it says that you have a parlor appointment or an appointment for your hairdresser at 7 p.m. at so and so place, and you're going there alone, and this has gone in hands of some rogue people, you have a threat to actually be kidnapped because that intern does not even know that to whom is they are giving the keys. Right? There's a huge talent shortage. At one side, we are talking about the layoffs, but at other side, we are talking about the serious shortage of talent. I guess possibly some of you are aware about Meta was trying to poach uh, Google's deep minds, some of those talent. And what was the signing on bonus? Anyone knows that number?
Up to $50 million.
Can you repeat?
Up to $50 million.
You are not far away, but still far away. 100 million was the 3-digit and above. It was the restriction was you will not go to the 4-digit, but 3-digit and any number in millions for an AI engineer. So at one side, you're talking about the CEO, means that's the press which is talking about a CEO getting a salary of equivalent to 5,000, junior employees every year. If he or she reduces their salaries, then 5,000 or 4,000 homes can run. That a conversation of this sort is happening at one side, and conversation of a very different level is happening at other side. And you would have read the news where a bonus of $1 trillion was paid to an individual human last week. Did you? Has anyone read that? You have read it.
Yes.
Yes, Tesla. Yes, the guy got 1 trillion as a bonus because that will keep you motivated. So we are at the moment talking something very different word. Bias and explainability. No one is even going in this direction at this point of time because speed is so fast. Things are moving so fast, and privacy and bias are the keywords. Because while all of them are, right, tomorrow you will still bridge the gap between the talent. But what will happen to the privacy which has already been breached? What will happen to data which has already been, compromised? What will happen to the bias? Because it is going to create a huge, we used to write or talk about the digital divide, right, sir? You might have heard this particular, terminology 20 years back. But we are talking of digital divide of a different extent at this point of time. There's someone writing here, you will take it towards it. So I should not be. Yeah. Perfect. So if I may continue, now, because our subject is how it is going to impact on the global business growth, we are just spending a bit of time in terms of the business digital ecosystem. And I've just taken as an example case in point for us to have a look at it. But the way the things are moving, right from buying bread, right, to doing banking, everything is via digitization or ecosystem of digital transformation. So we all converge or agree upon that irrespective of any business, technology is the factor. Whether it is the factor which is enabling factor, supporting factor, or driving factor, we'll look at it in a bit. So three pillars which are key for any business digital ecosystem is customer experience, digital, or data-driven approach, and then we are talking of platform. Irrespective of whether it was yesterday's world or whether it will be the future world, right? Whether you are talking in terms language of mainframes of Fortran, or whether you are going to talk in the language of LLMs and AI, the three spaces you have to, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, or as a senior business leader, to look at what is my customer experience, how compatible in terms of plug and play is my platform, right? In terms of flexibility and compatibility, and what kind of data I have, because it has become the clear, means garbage in, garbage out, or quality in, quality out, right? I just take a case in point. We all travel, you know, via airlines, one or the other places, domestically, internationally, and so on and so forth. It's not as simple when we talk about mapping any ecosystem, any business ecosystem into digital. And as you can see, because as a passenger, as a customer, we know what do we do for requiring to fly. We do number of things, right from ticketing, booking. You have your departure control, you have your crew scheduling, and so on and so forth. But once you are in the air, then there is a different kind of application systems and business functionality comes. And while both of these two things are happening, the conventional things continuously run and operate in terms of HR, finance, L&D, recruitment, and so on and so forth, right? And all of them, you have to actually associate it with certain applications, which you have to develop, whether through the microservices or whether through, software as a service. And then you have to link with business KPIs, which is down below. So finally, when you're talking of business aligned models, whether it is in banking or whether it is in retail or manufacturing, it goes far deep. And I just took a case in point, and then I'm not going to detail, but there's a reference or architecture which goes far too deep, far too complex, because still today, over 60% of the tech landscape is on mainframes, right? Entire banking world still loves the mainframes because of their robust model. So you have to plug and play on top of it, and hence number of things goes into play. So what I was talking about, as you can clearly see, the technology is no more enabling function. It actually is driving function for any business. Am I resonating with that statement? We all can clearly see that technology has become a driving element. And if you see my first slide, which I was talking about, the digital economy, if it's going to contribute 20 trillion, so you're talking of close to between 15 to 20% of the global GDP, right? Which currently is 7 to 8%. So it's a mammoth shift we are talking between now and next 5-6 years. So what is it? So it's all about data, connectivity, and automation. And what is it redefining? It is redefining not just how do we work, but how do we behave and how do we automate. Why do I say how do we behave? Because technology is actually entered beyond our professional space. Am I right? One comment on your social media after a good 9 or 10 hours of wonderful deep sleep can ruin your day in just first 1 hour if you have not mindfully utilized that window. Am I right? And this has happened with all of us, including me. Right? So technology has entered beyond our professional boundary into personal space, our spiritual space, our professional space. Is that right? So it's how do we work? How do we behave? and how do we innovate?
My submission will be that
Yes, sir.
technology is today taking away the organizations from the social system. And the point I'm trying to make is that to the extent e-commerce, you don't experience the client, or you're not experiencing client face to face. And as a result of which, you are using technology today to exploit the customers. And I will give you simple examples which I experienced in the recent past.
Ji,
Indigo, which is now 65% of the market share of India.
ji,
Very recently, they introduced the concept of if you cancel your ticket 24 hours before, you'll be refunded full amount and they're charging 299.
ji.
It's a good offer.
Hmm.
When I cancelled my ticket 24 hours before, it tells me that we don't pay the money, somebody else pays it.
Ji.
The first lie is that you make an announcement that Indigo is providing the service. When I want to claim the money, it says somebody else is providing it. It gives me a location. When I go there, it says this is not somewhere else. And when I go there, I find that it has got all the informations, but everything is wrong except my name and ticket number.
Ji.
Now look at the person. Firstly, I got shocked when he said that Indigo is not providing me
Yeah,
the return.
yeah.
Then it gives me a website number which was not right. Then it takes me to another website, and then it shows me that all the information is wrong. And my immediate conclusion was that they have no intentions to pay that money which they claim to pay. And I stopped paying it because I didn't want to have the kind of pain which I experienced. And this was based on my other experience of Tata AIG.
Ji.
I took the travel insurance from Tata AIG. I had gone to US. When I was there, my wife had some small problem in the teeth. I wrote to them, they said, you get the treatment, come back.
Ji.
When I came back here and I wanted to put the claim, I was very surprised that I was not able to log in. I got annoyed with myself, saying that I have become really dumb that I can't log into them. Then I wrote email to them.
Ji.
And then they wrote to me, sir, this is not the policy number, it is the schedule number. Now look at it, I paid them 31,000 rupees. And they had not bothered to give me the policy number, forget about the policy itself. And after that, I wrote 8 letters at the highest level to Tata's and to insurance agencies and so on and so forth. I only got tired and then I left it. My submission is that today, as a result of technology, the only thing which the markets have become conscious and the business have become conscious is about markets. How can I make more money? This whole aspect of the social system, and that's where I was interested to find out that when you talk about the consciouspreneur, what does it become conscious of? My submission is that today technology is making conscious only about what much more money I can make about it. That is my submission, and that is something which is very inappropriate for the humanity at large. And if it is happening, I think we need to be concerned about as academicians, as
citizen.
as change agents, whatever we are, wherever we are, because today I feel that technology is kind of taking the person away from the market in a way, in the sense that he's not seeing the customer face to face. There was also a certain amount of concern. In 70 years before, in UK, Tavistock School came out the concept of social technology system when they wanted to cut the mines, introduce the new technology of long wall method of cutting coal. They realized that there are autonomous work groups, and then the concept came through it, and we are concerned about improving quality of work life. Today, whether at the lowest level, when they are directly talking to the customers, or a Facebook or a YouTube, they're only concerned to retain that customer, not necessarily making more productive. So I think we have to be also very concerned about how technology is being used by the people, because that has become a huge power. Today, technology is giving a huge power to the people who are already very powerful.
Yeah.
So how are you going to make truly a technocrat or a technology business conscious about the needs of the society is something we need to reflect on. That.
Very, very, apt examples and your own personal experience. And I think many of us have experience, including myself, in one or the other sectors of pays. And I think there are two things which are coming. One is so fast, so-called pace of technology being adopted and making plug and play kind of thing. And more than that, any business which is somewhere getting a feel that they have gone into a zone of monopolistic, then the confidence zone very quickly moved into arrogance zone, right? And the point which we saw about the three key pillars: customer experience, platform, and data, right? Uh, any business who somewhere do not take care of customer, and if it increases or goes beyond, rest assured, uh, it's the matter of when rather than if for them to find themselves into the doldrums. Uh, a study which was conducted in 1970s or late 60s, where a lifespan of a successful company was 70 years. And that was redone about a decade back or so. It reduced to 18 years, 70 to 18, right? And this will further move faster in terms of the reduced time window. So your example and your pain is something which perhaps is not exceptional. Many or most of us would have experienced. You have been, so nicely able to, explain it or share it in this beautiful forum. Uh, when we talk about consciouspreneur, sir, we are talking about connecting profit with purpose, connecting profit, purpose, and people, and and time is like the way people used to challenge cloud, the way people used to challenge that cloud is not becoming reality or AI perhaps will not have any problem to us. I think bringing your entire focus only on profitability to linking it with purpose and people is something which people have to come to terms, because while third industrial revolution was more about white collar jobs, what we are currently seeing, it's the white collar jobs which are getting affected most, right? Not blue collar, right? It's the white collar jobs across the planet. So this is the time, which is the time for entrepreneurship, because you have everything available on a very, what do I say, uh, very minimal costs and on very fast speed. Be it creating the websites, be it having the bank accounts, be it having the compute, storage, everything available on the cloud, and to create something which is an e-commerce engine much faster than what it used to be before. And if you have an idea, there are people supporting behind. But the key aspect which comes into play is, are you able to, because the retention of people around you or rallying people around you will not be around the profit. They will need to understand, am I associating myself with the vision or the aim of this particular organization or person? And that will become key. But thank you for sharing that. And that's where we come, how we work, but how we behave. And this applies not to individual, with the organizations as well. Because if you do not behave, and we saw recently some of those acts which happened, whether they were accidents or they were whatever, but the press which was created around the national carrier of our country, it within no time took the customers away from all around the world. I remember when I was traveling from London to India, few weeks back, the same flight price for a direct flight on our national carrier was less than half than all other major airlines. But still people were not booking. So you really need to be very careful on some of these experiences. And I'm not sure, have you heard United Breaks Guitar? This was a very popular hashtag, right? So United Airlines at once, you want to share that, sir? And shall I bring the mic to you so that everyone can hear?
Am I audible? Yeah. Well, there was a singer who shipped his guitar along with himself, checked it in United Airlines, and from the window he saw the person who was putting the luggage in this in the flight throwing the guitar, and it broke. And then we went back and claimed that, took a claim from United. They refused to compensate him. So he came up with the song United Breaks Guitars.
And that actually, all of a sudden, with a bit of consistency or his perseverance, picked up among other people, right? And that became a slogan: United Breaks Guitar. And airlines had no choice; they had to compensate him big time because it was straight away the brand impact which was coming into play. So some of the instances, sir, which you have talked about, now with the power of social media, and all of a sudden it picks up the traction of some of the people. Uh, the people with muscle power still do not hold any power. We all saw few months back the incident which happened in Pune, right? That youngster who was driving the car and he rolled over, right? You would have not many people. Even in UK, that became a big news. He was connected with so many, muscle mafias or muscle people, but nothing could be done. Right? So let's look at the impact. Yeah. Now let's spend a bit of time on. So we looked at how this AI and the world is moving and how the business digital ecosystem looks like. But let's look at the impact. Right. There are two or three areas. Productivity with AI and robotics has already grown many folds. Yeah, is that right? Then efficiency because of predictive maintenance has and reduced downtime again has gone many folds. And innovation again in terms of the idea getting into the concept phase and then moving into crystallization, blueprint, and implementation. What we spoke about, fail fast, learn faster, then revisit and again evolve, is a new name of the game. Right? And if you look at the challenges, we spoke about workforce displacement, but there are a number of roles which are repetitive or which are, routine, while they are getting automated or while they are being displaced. But there are so many new roles in terms of problem solving, critical thinking, human in the loop, and that's what I spoke about, will come into play. So as of now, the educational system has largely been focusing upon developing the caliber, right, in terms of the skills. With this, skills are already available with AI. So you will have to go with inside out. Outside in game is getting over. Am I right? So if you have an inside out strong, then you have two advantages. One is early mover advantage, and number two is you are unstoppable. Right? So game is changing and changing very quietly. It's like flood waters. You sleep well in the night, that everything is fine, and by the time you wake up in the morning, the first or the ground floor is already flooded, and you didn't hear even the sound. That's how the things are moving at this point of time. We spoke about cybersecurity, right? Interconnected system, omni-channel connectivity, they are attractive. Nowadays, we all know the story of McAfee. No one bothers. No cyber, crime happens on individual account systems, right? Individual login, because there are big fishes for me to target, right? One bank I do it and I'm done, rather than going and doing a pickpocketing of 2,000 people, right? So that's where the power of cybersecurity. And we all saw what was that which brought the world to the knees. Proud strike, right? Right. That was a bug which was, and there was a very interesting insider story, which for some other time. But how many of you have heard about NotPetya since we are talking about cyber? None? I would strongly recommend you to go and do Google about it. This was one of those instances which actually taught the world for the first time what cyber is going to be.
But Microsoft, they had the issues wherein Microsoft systems were shut down all over the world. Even there on the regular working computers at the same time, their flight airlines, etc., also was a big threat. At the same time, the other scenario was, not sure, a few years behind, 5 to 10 years back delay. They said that Mark Zuckerberg had an issue with the software and the AI systems, where the algorithms were overwritten by the system itself, such that the algorithms was not read by the computer engineers and data scientists, and it was actually a very deep controversy, and hence that became a cyber threat and cyber attack.
Yeah, so this was a CrowdStrike and some other related links to Microsoft. The North Korea was in particular linked to one organization, which was AP Moller Maersk, the world's largest shipping and container company by far. Right, it's the flagship of Denmark uh, in terms of its reputation, because I have worked for that client for several years. In terms of reputation and standing, uh, I would say the CEO of AP Moller Maersk and the Prime Minister are perhaps the two most powerful person in that nation. So where I'm talking is that $42 billion organization, it was about 8 years back or so. One fine morning of 4th of June or early June, how, the movie started happening, and where they could save themselves was that in South Africa, one of the remote locations, because the backup was happening more manually and on those discs and tapes. So there was one isolated tape which was available for a month before, version. That's where the $42 billion company could stand up on its knees. Otherwise, it was completely finished.
Mark, right? Mark.
Sorry, who is saying?
Company is Mark, right?
Mark, yeah, if you will. That's right, sir. That's right. That's right. So cyber threat is going to be, the very different challenge. Unlearn and relearn. Right? I spoke about, programming changing to configuration management and configuration, coming into a zone of programming. But 21st century's biggest challenge is not about learning; it's more about unlearning some of those things, which we feel so confident, if I don't use the word arrogant, about. Right. So it's more about unlearning what we know and then relearning. I think that's going to become the key. And it's also not knowing the answers, but asking the right questions is going to be the biggest skill, right, as we move forward, because answers are known everywhere. And digital divide, it's across the nations and across the industry sectors. And these are some of those big challenges. Not that these are complete, these are, it's a complete list, but these are some of those macro, the key ones, which we clearly see, right? Now, while we talk about the challenges, there are certain opportunities as well, and big time, right? Globalization, in terms of digital tools and access to the global market and democratization, it is something which is a huge opportunity, right? And on the growth, talent access, right? Increased talent access. Of course, it was beyond geographies earlier as well, but it's increasing. It doesn't matter whether you are sitting in Bangalore and working for a Bay Area, provided you have a right skill, you sitting here in INR would be able to earn in dollars or pounds or euros. That is something which has become very seamless. Green tech, it is enabling, it is going into that direction as well. And there are a lot of new business models, right? Subscription economies are getting into play. The land where we are sitting on, we mostly focus upon, or we have largely focused upon the services sector. We haven't focused upon platform or the software. Right? So these are the two areas to tap. And if I talk about in terms of numbers, from the inception of NASSCOM, which was in early 1990s, right, to current, we are talking about a huge market. We have about 254 billion or 250 billion plus as an annual revenue, which as a nation we have generated, which is a significant growth. But if you look from the other angle, another angle is 8.85 trillion to 250 billion. We are still holding a very minuscule percentage as far as the global tech sector is concerned, and hence is a huge scope. And where is that scope? That scope is more towards the product side of things and platform side of things, right? The product and platforms are more at this point of time concentrated towards other side of the planet. So fluidity is here to stay for a while, right? And when there is a fluidity, it's the opportunity. It's an opportunity for any bright minds. Wherever is the fluidity, right? Means I give a classical example, which I really love it, and maybe I'll raise it over here as well. How do a Formula One races are won? Which driver wins the Formula One race? What is the technique of winning a Formula One race? Anyone? Because I'm sure here are sports lovers, and some of you must be watching that game.
Stamina.
Can you be a bit louder, sir?
Stamina.
Stamina. Okay. This is the answer I'm hearing for the first time. I've heard hundreds of answers, but I'll pick up this as an answer going forward. Yes.
Practice and luck.
Hmm?
Practice and luck.
Practice and luck,
And technology.
teamwork, attitude. Where I'm talking about is the technicality.
Timing part.
Timing seems to be in the right direction. Means you have started talking about the
Technology and innovation.
technology and innovation.
Minimum drive to get the maximum speed of the.
She is going into the right trajectory or the direction. Very good.
Team coordination.
Technique and the speed is again, yes. But you know what? Technique and speed, anyone who has qualified and has reached to that level, right? They know that. I know.
Right decision.
Right decision. Okay.
Different psychological.
Again, psychological, emotional, that is something is a given part. Means, are you playing to win, or are you entering into that game with a mindset of playing to win or playing not to lose? That's the psychology, or that's where all the sports coaches teach the team at least certainly 30 minutes before the game, that this is the next whatever 90 minutes or a day or 70 minutes of your life. That's a very standard sentence. Yes, sir.
Agility.
Agility. There are some answers, Venkatesh, are coming perhaps here on the screen in case there is something interesting you may want to share. Because I have asked a question to the audience. How do Formula One races are won?
Motivation.
Motivation.
I think it's also like chess moves, like you kind of know the simulated routes, the simulated routing. So again, like how you optimize, the optimization is key.
I think you are moving in the right direction with your second answer or second thought process as well. Pit stop. That is another good answer. Yeah, right. Pit stop strategy somebody spoke about.
Time lapse. Yeah, you have some time lapse during the Formula One race, during the pit stop also, and after that, and you get the emergency vehicle sometimes, and you get on the routes. Then comes the lap rounds, the number of lap rounds, which grand which you are playing out. Then comes the league or which you are playing the game. Then comes the engine performance and all the other tech aspects. Then comes the software which reads on time, real time, live guidance from the coach side, which they can track and suddenly based on whether when they can really work on. That can be some strategy where they use it because they're running for like 24 or 48 or 72 hours. F1 races and all. It takes good drivers also. The same time.
No, sir, I need answer which is very short. You are going into.
I just said the complete scenario.
No, that's where I do not want the. I am asking how the races are won. My simple question is, what is that one decider for the winner?
I think timely judgment. Timely judgment with accuracy.
Timely judgment. Okay, fine. Shall I answer or shall I?
Probably risk averse, let's say, not afraid of crashing into someone else.
Okay, not afraid of crashing. Good.
How much they can put the limit of the car?
Can you be a bit louder, sir?
How much they can put the limit of the car?
Okay, how much they can put the limit? I'm just repeating as well so that people on the who are joining online can listen.
Or to grab the
Sorry, sir.
goal to reach and win. The goal to reach and win.
The goal to reach and
To understand the track better, to make better judgment.
Team, sir.
a bit right.
Team.
Huh?
Team.
Team. Four.
Finish the race first.
Sorry, sir.
Finish the race first.
Finish the race first. Okay, let me answer them. Yeah, please go ahead, sir. What are they? Uh-huh.
Compatibility, right decision in the right time, prioritization.
Okay, right decision in the right time seems to be, yeah, again, heading in the right direction. Yes, sir.
Target focus.
Target focus. Good. I think we got, multiple thinking, and the responses. If I specifically go, the lady there was on the right direction. There was this gentleman who spoke in that direction. See, the game happens at the curve. The entire thing, the decision happens at the curve. At the time of curve, whosoever is consistent and having the speed, they win. Just watch the Formula One. There are those many laps because everyone knows how to drive fast. But at the curve, if you are controlling and moving, there the decision happens. Entire practice happens on that. Absolutely. You would have seen the relay races, the 4x4, how smoothly you exchange the baton and run because everyone knows how to run. That's where the winner get decided, and especially in the last lap. Right? Even in the swimming, it's all about when you are taking the turn in the lapses because everyone knows how to swim fast, but how you're turning. And why I'm bringing this particular point is that in the life or in the game of enterprising business leadership world, this is the curve. This is the curve. And whosoever take that lead with respect to the early mover advantage, as I said, the game from caliber is very quickly shifting, much faster than you can think. Caliber to character is shifting faster than you can think. It's all going to be the game of compassion, creativity, ethics, emotions, problem solving, critical thinking, so on and so forth. Which yesterday or till today, all the game used to be, do you know Python, do you know C, do you know C++, do you know Java, do you know project management? And in project management, have you done PMP, have you done blah, and have you done CMI, MMI level 5 or CMMI level 3? Have you got this certification, have you got that certificate, right? All of those things are going to become obsolete because every answer is there on a prompt. Right? Now, if you are able to think, right, sir? If you are able to think and connect, because as a leader, your team member will not be respecting you because you are knowing more than them. With everyone, even in one of the challenge which is happening to the institutions like this, where we are standing, because the assignments by students are you tell us, sir, when do you want us to submit? You want to submit it in 1 hour, we'll do it. Right? Assignment of a week gets submitted in an hour. And it becomes too difficult. And it's not that easy for the faculties because things are moving much faster. Right? Now, what are the, yes, ma'am.
I want to make a point and build on what a professor said also, because I think one.
Can we share the mic with so that people who are online can also, do we have? Yeah.
Since you put the spotlight, can you hear me? Yeah, since you've put the spotlight on AI as the most critical success factors, moving from caliber to character. So I just like to make a point that it's not possibly the tech part of AI, but what you said a little before, like the design aspect of it. Because I think a good leader will also know what parts of his whole solution he needs to humanize versus technofy with AI. Like you said, in the Maersk shipping example, the human element actually saved them in a risk situation. That last analog bit. So I think the way I look at it is design will be critical, and within design,
because ultimately we have to, faster is not better. Like you said, like you can get students to, put in their papers faster, but then are they thinking about stuff? So I think sometimes slower might be better, and just figuring out all these levers, constraints, checks and balances, because as we humans move intelligently, and I feel I look at AI right now as artificial cleverness, not necessarily just artificial intelligence, because it's like a show pony. A lot of times, like you teach your dog or your pony new tricks, karega, So we need to be very critical and careful. Where does wisdom come in? Who are we doing this for? Are we just creating more show ponies? How we can do it faster, better, two time, all that? Yeah. Who are we serving? Are we serving the oligarchs, the tech bros, the tech companies? Or do we want to really create a level playing field for more people, especially in our country? Like, do we want to take the truck drivers, the washroom cleaners, everyone along? Then I think design becomes more important, because then you'll have elements where you say only human, only tech, and necessarily not more cleverness, but more intelligence with wisdom. So yeah.
Yeah, very well said. So, one aspect of how do you bring in terms of the design, the human aspect of it. The second is the bias aspect of it. The third is the ethical aspect of it, right? And the way, and you picked up very well, you know, see, with AI, the thin line which is getting blurred among the individuals is, hey, AI can, you can outsource your work to AI, but many of the folks are outsourcing their thinking to AI as well, right? So outsourcing the work vis-a-vis outsourcing your thinking, I think is a very subtle or thin line, but a very big or sea change when it comes to the output aspect. So very well pointed. Now, if you look at the critical success factors, yes.
Back on the ma'am's point, I think ma'am's ideology works towards mainly the health sector. Because there was a case study where I think IIM itself, students came up with many of the students during the COVID and post-COVID era, they started getting in touch with the AI, like DeepSeek and ChatGPT and AI audio.
Mike has come to you because there are a number of people online. There are 71 participants I can see. So yeah, if we speak on mic, that will be wonderful.
So what I felt was like ma'am's ideology works towards the health sector much, because I have identified myself after the case study that let's say people who have depressions, anxieties, failures, and etc., they tend to need a companion. So now people are going towards the AI, ChatGPT, asking for help because they are very helpful in guiding or giving, looking out as emotional support. But now, in that design perspective, and ma'am mentioned about the various segments of how we have to look forward. I think that is more to the health sector. But even then, as ma'am mentioned, that design is also not very clarified to the levels of segments, because different levels of segments requires different levels of management or managerial skills to understand. Because you can't just justify the clear fact to that perspective or that segment and state that so and so is the design, unless and until we can give an emotional or a psychological aspect to it. So this case study has been a very big result, stating that AI and mental health doctors are also suggesting that kindly don't get into AI or various other things for or emotional or various other, because that is not the realistic solution, I would say, even though they can help you out. So I felt adding on that very clear point to that aspect which ma'am meant. Thank you.
Sure, sounds very good. Thank you. There were the two examples which came from the different sector. Was one was the insurance, for example, and there was another airline, right? Both what's the talked about, right? Where while that was not AI for that matter, but tomorrow it will get implemented. It was faceless, IT kind of thing. But AI would become more faceless and more decisive and more so-called, and that's where the design with respect to the humanizing aspect. That when I'm talking to a human, and if the issue has been raised, is it something which I put into the generic category? I give you an example. I was at Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and there was a senior professor who was talking, and he gave a wonderful example. He said that, okay, what was he talking? He was talking that, yeah. So there used to be people going on maternity leaves of, the faculties. Uh, so maybe I'm not connecting very beautifully, but I'll try. So it so happened that there was a lot of female faculty members used to go, and automated messages used to go with congratulations, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And there was one guy who registered as a parental leave exactly through the same portal. And the similar mail went to him without understanding that where the bias needs to come into play, because it was a faceless. Again, this is he would explain it in a much better way when he was explaining. I'm trying to recollect, but somewhere I'm missing out. So I rather would want to take a pause on that and move forward. So adapting to the changes, see, the key to thrive in this fast moving digital tsunami, which I say, is while you embrace innovation, you have to be grounded to your core value. Because unless and until you are grounded to your core value, whatsoever it is, you will be shaken up much faster, right? I mean, somewhere our ancient literature and in Bhagavad Gita, it has been very clearly said that you don't need to दुश्मन को आपको जीतना है तो उसको हराने की जरूरत नहीं, उसको हिलाने की जरूरत है, right? उसको हराने की जरूरत नहीं है, just take it up, right? And it's gone, because the moment you have taken over the confidence level, it's over. The role of leadership will be very, very important. Leadership isn't about implementing new initiative. It's all about guiding the people. It's going to become extremely fast changing. It's not about speaking. It's also more about keeping your mouth shut when you're not required to speak, right? Now, what is the primary driver of value creation in a business leader? Means we are converging our storyline. We are converging our storyline with the point which somewhere sir touched upon when he was talking about his issue. Maybe let me proceed, and I'm conscious of the time that there will be a few minutes for question answers. Okay, a business leader generates value not through what he or she does, but what or who he or she is. All with me? And it's the consciousness which gives that value. We put a bit more simplified language of it is mindfulness, right? But it is the consciousness. And the digital economy, as we spoke, is not just reshaping our industries, it is reshaping how we think. And by integrating consciousness into leadership, we are looking for ensuring that growth fosters both inclusivity and sustainability. And thus, I call consciousness as a value multiplier. And all those who focus upon that, I call that consciousness. We are not talking, when we talk about the word consciousness, where I come or I spent a lot of years in terms of coming out with this terminology and thinking, the main aspect was, I'm not talking of philosophy and I'm not talking of theory. Someone who has burned candle from both sides while he was growing up in his career, had so many sleepless nights, and have run a race which after winning felt that he was a rat. I clearly felt that there has to be a new thinking which needs to be implemented, and hence this consciousness as a thought process was born. It took a number of years for me to come up with this, and with that, I would want to thank each one of you online as well as over here for being such a wonderful audience. I would hand it over to Venkatesh in a minute, but as I said, the books are outside, and if anyone wants to get a signed copy from myself, very, very happy to have that. And I would be wanting you to read and then come back to me rather than just purchase and keep it. So that would be the condition when you're looking for signing me, right? And happy to take a picture along with you. So with that, thank you so much, every one of you. And okay, so I'm handing. That's why I was saying I'm handing over to you now. Yeah.
Vedant Mystery has a question.
Can we have the mic to Venkatesh so that? No, I'll bring it to you. Here we go, sir.
Vedant Mystery.
Yeah. Okay. And if you want to reach out to me, there are some social media handles on my website, which we got into this zone just a couple of years back only. But now we I do personally respond. My team works along with me, and very much connected to whomsoever who want to be in touch with us. Yes, sir. Over to you.
Insightful session, sir. So my question is regarding how is education going to change? Because like you said that people have outsourced thinking also to AI, and that questions the fundamentals of what education teaches us to do. And the other question is on what kind of skill building one should focus on, as all the entry-level jobs are replaced by AI automated jobs.
Shall I pick up?
Yes.
Any third one, or these are two? Yeah. Perfect. So I'll pick up, maybe second as first and then first as second. As far as the skills are concerned, Meghaji, the way I spoke about, it's going to move away from caliber to inside out. If I don't use the word character, it's more about, are you someone who can do problem solving? Are you someone who can do critical thinking? Or are you only coming with certain competencies? Right? So it's a combination of competency, character, and enthusiasm. That's where, many times people talk about. So it's more about inside out. It's more about creativity. It's more about non-repeatability. It's more about non-routine. It's more about, are you able to have compassion along with your fellow colleagues? Can you bring that aspect of ethics, and someone who can look up to you not because of your title, but because of who you are? As we spoke about that, a leader would not be creating value because of what they do, but who they are. So that's on the second one. And if I come to the first one with respect to the educational institutions, I think this is an evolving phase, and it's evolving much faster than many of us can anticipate. But as far as the point with respect to outsourcing thinking versus outsourcing work, I think this is a temporary phase. Outsourcing thinking guys have started understanding they are falling behind. Now, sooner or later they realize. And I know one of the guy who was working in my team at a point of time. He shared that he got the code entirely written with the help of an AI, and that there was a core dump which happened, and then he got a slap on his face straight because there was some fundamental mistakes, and what he did was straight away cut and pasted that. So not putting the prompt or not putting the thinking correctly, right? That's common. As far as the educational institutions are concerned, it's for every one of us to see, but the institutes or the leaders have started realizing that something has to change. And it's not that it's here where we are standing among the four walls. It's all around the world. Because the way I foresee is that would you actually need institution which requires physical presence and the brick and mortar. I hear very beautifully from my son, who is an Oxford guy, Oxford and Cambridge. He says that we go to these universities not for education, we go to these universities for creating the network. What a sentence. So things have changed, or things are changing extremely fast. How the course and curriculum and everything will be designed. And EdTech, as we know, is moving so fast. So it's a direct challenge to the institutions. So that's how I see it, Meghaji. Yeah. Over to you.
Question. Reggie, can you go ahead? You are a panelist now. Please unmute yourself, introduce, and ask the question, please.
Hi, this is Reggie here. Mr. Gupta, your books have been a big hit, and when your Consciouspreneur book talks about the power in the individual, the need of the hour is also around governance. So, what is your thoughts around governance in this fast moving world with AI. And like you said, when people are giving a thinking to AI, the human element is still, people cannot miss out the value of the human element. But essentially, the human also needs protection. Today, governance is almost like a post facto, post-mortem analysis of an incident rather than having a thought through preventive mechanism. I could be over emphasizing the aspect around governance being lacking, or is it a case of governance always being a paper tiger rather than an active, involved agency in this new emerging world?
So first of all, let me introduce this gentleman who has spoken or asked this question. I know him. The moment the voice came and name came, I was just trying to connect. So again, a big thought leader of industry. So, and I have learned from him as well a lot. So first of all, being very modest and asking the question, namaste to you, Reggie ji. So, the question with respect to governance and whether to lead indicator or lag, I think it's very clear in front of all of us. Governance in terms of, if you look at from the perspective of business in just few years back, we used to talk about business intelligence and predictability for taking the business intelligent decision. But when it comes to governance, we had always been looking from system of records in terms of what all has happened and perhaps what we are going to do. But in this fast moving pace with AI, I think we have lost that eye as well, because entire focus at this point of time is being in developing something new and deploying. There is no checks and balance in terms of looking at the guardrails, right? There is nothing you are looking from in terms of what guardrails you are putting to that model which you are developing. And anyone can do jailbreak, right? And that is not too difficult. And there are perhaps some techie guys who can relate to what I'm talking about, right? So in terms of predictive and preventive, I think the lag indicator is continuously on increase, Reggie, which was not in the lead indicators earlier as well. And forget about that. I call this AI revolution as the new electricity revolution, because it's of that scale even higher. See, even in electricity, we very soon got, with respect to what would be the cabling, norms in terms of transmitting the electricity, distributing the electricity, generating the electricity, and so on and so forth. But in case of AI, we are actually handing over to user the naked wires, right? And no governance, right? Sovereign AI is being still talked through as one of those concepts around the world. Around the world, I'm not talking of one place or other. So that's what I would say. I hope this gives you an answer, Reggie.
Yeah, absolutely. Professor Gupta, you put it well. Your book speaks volumes of this. I'm just hoping that there's a collective impetus to bring consciouspreneurs together to form that layer of honest, ethical AI in the future.
Yeah, very beautifully said. Thank you.
If you can take one or two more questions, I would like Prakash ask the question. Prakash, you are a panelist now. Please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Mr. Gupta, as you had been discussing about the AI and its impact, I would really like to know what is the impact of digital bias on the global business decision making and the market.
Can I request you to repeat the last sentence? What is the impact of digital
bias?
Digital bias. That's what you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, again, this is a very, very big challenge, Prakash, as the bias and privacy, as I spoke about. And if you look at the countries which are African countries at this point of time, are somewhere not able to hold to the pace where the world is moving. Digital bias is something right from hygiene to helping the growth of economy, has an impact right from basics to I'm talking of the highest level. So at this point of time, it is onus to the leaders. Now, onus to the leaders, I'm talking of leaders, be it the institutional leaders or be it the national leaders, or be it the leaders at the micro level, you know, a leader in the family as well. How you're bringing up your children with respect to understand what to look at, what not to look at from the bias, what to absorb and what to not, kind of thing. So when I'm talking of leaders, it's at all the levels. So this is a real challenge if I do not use the word threat. Yeah.
And Shresh has another question. You are a panelist now, Shresh. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning, sir. Sorry, good evening, my bad. What do you think is the impact of AI when it could be used in the management of sports, such as badminton or tennis, such as individual sports?
So you remember the game Go, which the guy who was, I think, from one of the Southeast Asia, this guy who was the champion for good 10-12 years, he was beaten up by the supercomputer AlphaGo. It was 2017 or so. Go is considered to be one of the most complicated game, much complicated than chess. Okay, and if you read that paper, that is some beautiful story. Now, with the example with respect to the badminton or tennis, I do not know whether the games will start happening between humans and AIs, or humans and robots, or there will be competition between robots and humans and humans, and or maybe a hybrid team of human robot human. So that's something which is interesting to see for all of us. We all are seeing, the Formula One, the form has changed from those bigger engine and powerful engine to electric cars. Who knows, the driverless cars or the remote based drivers who will be running them. But these are some of those interesting things which in years to come are for us to see, because when we are talking of digital economy moving from 8.85 to 20 trillion, some of these new things will happen and will happen much faster than you and I can think of. Yeah.
Sir, I actually meant of improving the management using AI, because right now the management is very poor when it is handled by the government in terms of state ranking.
I got it. Okay, now this is a different aspect. Maybe I did not understand. Now, thank you for this. This is linked to the point with Reggie was talking about in terms of the governance and the lag indicator or lead indicator aspect of it. I think that's an area or the gap which is very clearly there across the governments around. If I talk about in analogy term from this, right? GDPR was the first, Europe was the first to implement GDPR in 2017-18, right? And when did they realize about it? When did they realize about it? Almost about 14 years of Web 2.0 coming into play. So Web 2.0 came into play in 2004, which gave birth to all these social media, right? From all these YouTubes, LinkedIn, Facebook, Flickr, all were born at that time, right? Till 2005, WHO was not even tracking the mental health data. No one was knowing that data privacy is going to become such an important issue. For the first time after 14 years, an institution realized that, hey, this is very important. And thereafter, other nations picked it up. 2020 was UK, 2021 was US, 2022 was China, 2023 was India. And so you can see the lag indicators. So if you put that as an analogy, the management by government at this point of time, I see that folks do not even have a clue as to which direction things are. Over to you, sir. Any more questions? Should we take anyone from here? Yes.
Sir,
you have to speak louder so that people on, or I repeat. Don't worry about it.
Sir, as you have said, it's the beginning of a new era of AI, and we can understand it totally. And my question is that you have said we can jailbreak it, even I can do it, and many of the hackers or developers can jailbreak an AI. And recently we have found out that when AI was said that it will be terminated by a set day by a set person, the AI tried to kill the person very brutally. Right? How can we avoid it? And what will be the future from the next 5 years? As a few years back, the Python was in trend. Now it's AI, ML, vision learning. Now what will be the next future?
So if you ask me what is the new future, the thing which I see, which does not seems to be coming in the mainstream and people are still trying to shove it on behind, is the real need of Web 3.0.
Web 3.0.
Yes. Because the moment you get into Web 3.0, you are decentralizing the entire data around the world. And then you become the owner of your data. Right? You become the owner of your data. But in this current world, where the ownership of data has gone into few hands, why would they want to get into that direction? I might be giving a statement which may sound conflicting.
Yeah.
But Web 3.0, the moment it comes into play, you are talking all of a sudden a new revolution. Right? Then things will start moving into perhaps a bit more semblance as far as the individuals are concerned. Then it is your onus onto your data, onto your actions, which at this point of time, a little unconscious or subconscious action of yours goes into some other places. And that gets a digital footprint into their hands. Then it will be in your hands.